Hey everyone, this is Norm Farrar, aka the Beard Guy here, and welcome to another Lunch with Norm, the e-commerce and Amazon FBA podcast. Today, we're going to be discussing the silent killer of organic sales on Amazon. Do Amazon sponsored brands cannibalize organic sales? Think about it. Are your sponsored brands cannibalizing organic sales? Sponsored products versus sponsored brands and strategies to control that cannibalization. So, welcome to another Lunch with Norm, the e-commerce and Amazon FBA podcast.
Lunch with Norm. Lunch with Norm. Lunch with Norm.
What a great topic. I don't know if you're thinking about this, but are your PPC sales actually hurting your organic sales? Is that the silent killer on the Amazon platform? Well, before you do anything, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Give us a thumbs up. Maybe give us a review if you like it. Even if you don't, let us know how we're doing. And most important of all, share out this episode and give us a thumbs up if you hear something that you like. All right, so our guest is a senior PPC manager over at PPC Ninja. He's been working with seven figures to enterprise level clients and developing new strategies at the agency. He's from Edmonton and he's an ex-Amazon seller with 3 years of selling experience in Canada and the US marketplaces. He loves everything to do with marketing and data analytics. And he even uses data. This is cool. He even uses data analytics skills in the world of competitive barbecue. That's a guy I want to know. And he's also competed in the Kansas City Barbecue Association. So welcome, not quite yet, Neil Robson. And we'll be getting to Neil right after this sponsor. Hey, Amazon, Walmart, and TikTok sellers, we're in Q4 and I know the pressure's on. So how do you rank higher and sell more during the busiest time of year? Well, as a certified Amazon partner agency, AZRank has the expertise and proven strategies to take your projects to the top, driving visibility and sales across all platforms. With a proven expertise in optimizing search rankings, AZRank guarantees your products stand out during this critical shopping season. You can email AZRank today at hello@azrank.com. That's AZRANK.com. And don't forget to mention the Beard Guy sent you, and that's going to unlock an exclusive discount. Yeah, my dog just brought down something. I don't know what it is, just a piece of clothing. All right, Kels, where are you?
All right.
That's Dallas.
Yeah, that is classic Dallas behavior.
Yeah.
Over there. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. So I do have to say the one thing you shouldn't do, although I do it all the time with my Coca-Cola, is keep it open while you're in with all sorts of electronics.
Yeah, that sounds like a recipe for.
Yeah, on a podcast yesterday, a full bottle of Coke went over everything. So lots of fun.
And look at that. You got another bottle of Coke right there.
Yeah, unopened, same thing. You never learn.
All right. Well, welcome everyone to the Lunch with Norm podcast. Welcome, Steve, Rad, Marina. Good to see everyone. And I hope you guys enjoyed this week's newsletter. If you missed it, it's lwn.news. You can check it out.
That was a good one.
Yeah, we had a great story in there, and we're going to be doing some fun stuff with it. So make sure you subscribe. New issue goes out every Monday, so check it out.
You know, the other thing, and if you're listening to this live, you know that we do this spiel at the beginning and we talk a bit about what's going on, what events, but we are doing some changes to the podcast, and we're going to have where you can join us and, see the bloopers live, but we're also going to be changing this new format that should be coming up over the next 2 weeks, where it'll be an edited version on YouTube. So there's a few new things that we're going to be doing, just like in the newsletter, but I think you're going to like what you see. Kels, any events other than the Marketing Misfits? So that Marketing Misfits this week, by the way, with Melissa Vong is incredible. So if you want to listen to a really great podcast, although it's, I'm biased, the Marketing Misfits comes out every Tuesday.
There is one event that we promoted in the newsletter. It's the Amazing Days event. It's for the Balkan sellers. And it's happening in, is it Sophie, Bulgaria, I believe? Sofia.
Yeah.
It's in March. So there's the super early bird tickets on right now. So if you're interested, if you're in Europe, that's an event you can go to. And that's Intolerant is helping putting that together.
All right. Okay. So why don't we just get into this? It's a great, really good topic today. A lot of people aren't talking. I've never heard anybody really talk about it, but is sponsored ads killing your organic sales? So let's get into this. If you have any questions or comments, throw them in the comments section. Sit back, relax, grab a cup of coffee, and enjoy the show. All right. Where's Neil?
Hey, Norm.
How's it going, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you doing? Thanks for having me on the
Good.
show.
So, donuts and Tim Hortons.
Yeah, we have Tim Hortons down here. It's a busy time of the year for handing out donuts pretty much everywhere you go.
Yeah, that's what we do. We walk down the street, say, I'm sorry, even if people bump into you, and then you give them a donut.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, Timmy's is just such a powerful Canadian brand. I mean, it's recognizable anywhere.
That's something we should actually talk about that on the Marketing Misfits, because what they were able to do, and building up this 1 or 2 store operation back in the 60s. Tim Horton was a hockey player, and now it's blown up in Canada. Every single moment, like if you go out for hockey, 6:00, which happens all the time, 6:00 Friday or Saturday and Sunday, there's a lineup out the parking lot every single day, or every single Saturday and Sunday. It's crazy.
They've definitely got the market cornered, and like there's one, it seems like on every single corner. Like they're just everywhere. It's got to be Canada's largest franchise by far. I think they're actually starting to break into the United States as well.
They are.
Some efforts going on there, but like the domination, like there is really no other coffee spot chain wise in Canada aside from maybe Starbucks.
But even that, it's a different
vibe.
It's a different vibe. It's a different level. Like they've come out sort of mid-tier, trying to build up their the overall cost for the coffee, where Starbucks, you'll go out and pay a much higher, just much higher perceived value. But they're starting to do it. Tim Hortons Cafe and a few other things. But let's not talk about that. That's a Canadian thing. Let's talk about topic today. When we reached out to you and you came back with this topic, I thought, wow, this is really cool. So, do sponsored brands really cannibalize your organic sales on Amazon?
It's a tough question. It's a very tough question. And it's one that I've been looking into for quite some time and trying to, get a definitive answer, because this seems to be a debate that continues to go on in the Amazon PPC space, where we have some very notable established people saying, sponsored brands is bad. It cannibalizes your organic sales. Don't do it. And then some other large notable people will say, oh, you know what? Sales are sales. Right? Like let's move our top line sales and let's continue to grow. And where does it fall? And so I took a look into it a little bit. I came up with 3 different case studies to kind of look at and say, hey, what is actually going on here? And looking at some of the KPIs, there is a little bit of an answer to be found, but you got to stay tuned to find out a little bit more.
Right. Just talking about different people with different thoughts on this, like Neil Twal came on and he shocked me, and I think he shocked a lot of the people that were listening. It was a very well-received podcast, And that's when he came out and he said, we tell our clients, don't use PPC if you're in the number 1, 2, or 3 spot. You're killing yourself. And like, it was, what are you saying? Shut off PPC? Yes. And it was very specific. And Kels, I don't know if you can find that episode, but it was very controversial. But he just said, this is what I'm doing. You're wasting your money. You're losing it. You're spending all sorts of money. If you're already ranking, turn it off and see what happens, or pause it and see what happens. And ever since that day, I have always thought, oh, wow, this is definitely a strategy.
It's definitely a strategy. I don't know about turning it off totally. Like at
No,
the agency,
pause. Yeah.
Yeah, pausing. So at the agency, we use day parting. Day parting is one of those tools where we definitely help try and control the amount of sales that are coming from PPC, right? And it's all about reducing our spend and making sure that we actually do have that time to let those organic sales come in, because cannibalization happens on all sides, right? Whenever we're running ads, we're decreasing the chances of actually getting that organic sale. And so we need to pay attention to it. We can't, like, as advertisers, we can't just fire up 10,000 campaigns and let them run wild on Amazon, because, you know, odds are we will cannibalize some of our sales that could come into us organically.
You know, the where I see using that is on your brand, like a brand defense strategy, when you're really surrounding your listing with, you know, the different sponsored ads on your page. You don't want people to come onto your page, you know, they get the search results, they click over to your page, and then somebody else steals them away. You know, so we have done that, and most of the time it's pretty expensive to do. So it's just depending on the brand. If you're really trying to target like one of your better selling products, and if it's a high performing product, well, we'll do that. But it does cost. You know, they nail you depending on how popular their term is for your brand. But one of the other things I wanted to talk about, since you brought it up, day parting. There's a lot of people here that I know that tune in on a regular basis that might not know how to find or use day parting. And if we could just go through the whole definition of day parting, what exactly is that?
Yeah, absolutely. So day parting is just essentially making your ads active or inactive during the best times of the day or the worst times of the day. So if, you know, we can build out heat maps and say, hey, listen, we can see a 10% drop in ad sales between 8 p.m. and 4 a.m. Like, nothing's happening. Let's turn off our ads and let's save all of that money. And one of the interesting things about day parting is that at midnight, all of the budgets for campaigns reset. So every 24 hours, your daily level campaign budget, it resets. And so when those campaign budgets reset, we will actually see higher CPCs in right around that midnight time, from midnight to like 4 a.m., because everyone's back in budget and everyone's competing against each other. And towards the end of the day, we actually see the CPCs come down as budgets from campaigns are exhausted. And so making sure that, like, one of the things that we focus on at the agency is just making sure that, you know, from that midnight to 4 a.m., the time where nothing good really happens anyways, we're turning off our ads and staying as profitable as we can be, and just directing the rest of the budget to our most important times of the day. So that's how we go ahead and use it. But it's essentially just toggling them off and on at specific times. You're muted right now.
You know that when I came in, I had some tech problems. That's why we started late today. But from what I understand, you have a presentation that you wanted to show. Is that just case studies, or what exactly is the presentation?
Yeah, so the case study, it's exactly case study. So I took a look at 3 accounts, different states. So one of them is in a stable state, one of them is in a growth state, and then one of them is just kind of bouncing around a little bit. And so I took a look at their total sales, I took a look at their organic sales, I took a look at their sponsored products and their sponsored brand sales, and just looking at increases and seeing, you know, what happens when our sponsored brand contribution increases and how does that impact our organic sales.
Well, do you want to get into that right now?
Yeah, we totally can.
Perfect. Let's do that.
Yeah, so does sponsored brands cannibalize our organic sales? So the first thing we need to look at is, sponsored products versus sponsored brands.
Oh, great. That was going to be my next question, but go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I was going a little too fast for you there. So sponsored products, just a quick summary on this. They blend into the search results page. Amazon has done a fantastic job of just making sure that it's as streamlined as possible. So in this specific example here, of course, I had to use the garlic press. We have this is top of search. We have 4 sponsored ads in a row, and then we have 1 organic placement. And I got to talk about this real quick. As Amazon continues to evolve and develop on the ad side of things, we are seeing the number of sponsored placements increase significantly. And this is an ongoing theme, it seems to be. I saw a post on LinkedIn a few months ago. I can't remember who wrote it, but he was actually talking about how almost 70% of the Amazon search results page is now sponsored. And so having that sponsored strategy is just becoming more and more critical as we move into what I call late stage Amazon, where it's a very developed marketplace. And, the days of doing search find buys and all those kinds of things are behind us. And so Amazon's really clamped down on that, making sure we have a strong ad strategy is super, super important. And sponsored products, it is the dominant ad type for most sellers. So, for those of you who are kind of newer to the space, we have the 3 ad types: sponsored products, sponsored brands, and then sponsored display. And sponsored display, I don't really talk about too much because it is just a smaller ad type, and it doesn't move the needle as much as the other 2 do. And within sponsored products, it's widely accepted that this is the ad type that drives our organic rankings. There is a debate that kind of goes back and forth about how much sponsored brands actually drives our organic rankings, but it's widely accepted that sponsored products is the one that helps move us through or up in the organic rankings. And then there's just the 3 placements. So top of search, it's exactly that, rest of search. And then we have the ability to also show up on our competitor pages as well. And it sends traffic directly to your listing. So
Right.
that is sponsored products. Do you have anything to add on that, Norm, or are you all good?
No, I'm all good.
Okay. And so when we look at sponsored brands, my video is not playing here. So I had a video or a GIF right here, and it was of a knife set. And I actually threw that in because you and I met back in 2020
In Edmonton. Yeah.
in Edmonton. There was an event put together by AMZ One Step. So shout out to AMZ One Step. They flew Bradley in, and I can't remember who else was there, but it was a very nice event. And I remember you had one presentation ready, and because of what was going on at the event, you decided last minute to kind of change it up, and you decided to talk about packaging and branding. And you specifically mentioned a knife brand that you were selling, and you were talking about making sure you have that premium packaging. And so
Right.
this video was a little bit of a shout out to that, but unfortunately it's just not, for whatever reason, it's not playing. But all it is it's a very eye-catching video of a guy showing off just how sharp his knife is. And so that's the first bullet point here. It's eye-catching custom creatives. And this includes video and lifestyle images. So, Amazon's definitely moving in the direction of increasing video placements, increasing lifestyle images. And like, one of the things that I like to talk about is there's that old saying, a picture is worth 1,000 words. Well, I say a video is worth 1,000 pictures. And there's a reason why TikTok is killing Instagram, right? And why video is taking over. And that's because customers love to see a tangible product. There's been images can just be easily doctored to make the product look quite a bit better than it actually is. But once we start getting into video, I know there's all kinds of filters and tune-ups and things like that, but it gets a little bit harder to disguise that. And so you can start to see the quality a little better. And like for me, I'm an avid Amazon shopper. And I always love looking at the videos, making sure that, this is this exactly what I'm ordering?
Especially on Amazon. I remember I was talking to Dan Fernandez. He was the founder of Tomlinson back in the day. And he was telling me that you have a 480% better chance of getting somebody's attention to engage using a video than an image. And I think that's even higher now. Like if you go over to an Amazon page and you're putting an image, a lifestyle image, on this sponsored brands, or you have a video, what's going to stop you? What's that pattern interrupt? So wherever you can use video, wherever you can on Amazon, I highly suggest that you try to do it. And you should research it too, because a lot of the time, especially for a knife, like I know that knife like the back of my hand, and you've got to show, even on images, the quality, the sharpness. There are all sorts of pain points with a knife, other than cutting yourself or whatever. But just as you work with food, it's something simple. And I don't know if you've noticed this, but when you go to some of these knives, even if they have the image up, the food doesn't look real. It's the meats, instead of being red, they're like more red. They've got more of a grayish or brown, a browner look, and it looks like it was, just a poor quality photo. And the ones that can come through and show a really crisp looking vegetable, especially in video, if you can show that it's sharp and the colors are popping, that goes a long way. So even though you're taking advantage of video, you've got to make sure that the aesthetics and what your audience is looking for, that story is being told, or you're just throwing your money away.
Absolutely. And like one of the things that I often take a look at, and so this is something that's also not widely talked about. So to me, on Amazon, you need two different types of videos. You need one on your product detail page that is your product explainer. So it shows the product, it shows it in use, it shows all the functions, and it highlights everything as much as possible to help get that conversion. When we switch over to advertising, though, it's exactly what you said. We've done a few case studies inside of the agency, and we've looked at how much time we actually have to grab the customer's attention, and we have 1 to 3 seconds to generate that click on a sponsored brands ad. And when you look at what's actually happening on the product detail page, a lot of the time there will be like a slow fade in, maybe the brand name comes first, and then like it could be an unboxing. And then, 10, 15 seconds into the video, you're finally starting to see the product for the first time. But when we look at that over on the ad side of things, when we have that 1 to 3 seconds to generate that click, if we're not seeing the product till the 15-second mark, the customer's not going to click on that. They're just going to cruise right by it, and they're going to keep going, and your ad's not going to get clicked on. And so that's one of the things that we really pay attention to on the sponsored brand side of things is, what is the click-through rate on our sponsored brands video ads? Because we want to see over 1%, for sponsored products. We can see, if it's an average product, if you're kind of middle of the pack, we'll see, 0.25 to 0.4% click-through rates. If you're in the top of the niche, we'll say, depending upon where you show up, but we'll say from 0.6 up to maybe 1. If you have 1, like that's incredible. But for sponsored brands video ads, seeing 1.2, 1.3, like that's not uncommon. And that's just the difference between video and static images.
Recently we've hired a YouTube consultant just to check out things. And, we just wanted to see how we can improve, what we deliver. And he said the exact same thing. Like Kevin and King and I went to Montreal to do some strategy meeting this weekend, and we met with another advertiser, like a kingpin in the. Oh, there you go. It's kind of full. I'm just getting another cup of coffee. All right, thank you. But they both said something that was remarkable. So I was always under that 3 second, get that out. You have a 3 second time span. Both of these guys, and the guy from YouTube was actually like he works with Warner Brothers. He works with some really big names, so he knows his stuff. And he said it's no longer 3 seconds; it's a microsecond to less than 2 seconds. And if you haven't brought out the message or your product, you're not going to get the sale, or it's going to be a much harder time to get that sale. And a lot of people, they miss that message. And if you start looking at that, like especially on TikTok or on YouTube, the successful people, now that I see what they were telling me, I've gone through like the last couple of days and you see it all over the place. It's a microsecond. It's crazy.
And that's like, it's 100% accurate. Like I see it all the time. And, it's that on to the next one thing, right? Like when you're doom scrolling, you have infinite options and you're like, well, do I want to sit around and wait for this to develop, or do I want that instant fix right now?
It's TikTok. Swipe, swipe, swipe,
Yeah,
swipe, swipe.
Yeah. What am I looking at?
We're at the bottom of the hour. I know there's a bunch of people on today, so that's fantastic to see. If you do have any questions, and we will get to Marina's question in a second, but if you have questions or comments, make sure you throw them over in the comments section. If you like what we're hearing today, or if you love something, make sure you hit that thumbs up or heart or whatever. We always like to see that as well. And if you're new, if you've never heard this podcast before, we have something very unique. It's called the Wheel of Kelsey. That happens at the top of the hour. And that's where our guests usually come with some sort of giveaway. And today, Neil, what do we got?
So today we have two different things. So I'm giving away one audit or strategy call with myself. So we can sit down and I can look at your PPC strategy, and I can tell you what's going on inside your account. I can see someone in the audience. I've already met with him before. He's a previous winner. I think he had nothing but good things.
Is that Drip?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I met with him before. And I also have a tacos calculator. So this is one of my favorite tools that we've developed at PPC Ninja. So like one of the big conversations is, I want my tacos at this number, and that's all I care about. And so one of the things that I deal with, I won't say regularly, but it does pop up from time to time, is a client will come to me and they'll say, hey, Neil, I'm launching this product. It's $11 and I want 15% tacos. And I'll say, okay, let me look into this and get back to you real quick. And so I'll just go to the ad console. I can pull up the cost per click. I know their average order value. I can estimate a conversion rate. And then we can play with a PPC percentage contribution. And it'll spit out an estimate for what our tacos, what is achievable for our tacos based on what we're going to get as an ACOS. So all it is it's math, and it just shows us what's possible or what kind of metrics are required in order to hit your profitability goals.
Very good. All right. So check it, but to check that out is hashtag Wheel of Kelsey. That's right, Marina. Hashtag Wheel of Kelsey. Tag 2 people and you'll get a second entry. And I'm telling you, that consult, I know these guys. PPC Ninja is an incredible company and it will be worth it. Just ask Drip. He's on the call right now. He had his call last time. And so hashtag Wheel of Kelsey, tag 2 people, you'll get a second entry. And before we continue on this cannibalization topic, let's have a word from our sponsor and we'll be right back. Hey, Amazon sellers, are you leaving money on the table with Amazon? Well, TrueOps is here to help you reclaim every last cent you're owed. Over 1,400 brands have already recouped millions with TrueOps cutting-edge technology. Finding reimbursements others may have missed. And guess what? You only pay 10% commission, no more overpaying the industry standard of 25%. Plus, the first $1,000 in reimbursements is free to you. Here's the best part. TrueOps doesn't get paid unless you do. If Amazon ever reverses a claim, TrueOps automatically credits your fees back to you. Now that's peace of mind. Remember, $1,000 free reimbursements to start, then just 10% of successfully recovered funds. You have nothing to lose but the 3 minutes it takes to sign up for a free audit and so much more to gain. Sign up with the link in the description and start reclaiming what's rightfully yours. You know, Neil, I was over at AMZ Innovate in New York, and
Mhm.
that's where I met TrueOps. And I I knew of them before, but I never had a chance to really talk to them. They'll go out, they'll check, and you know what? If you have 2 or 3 other reimbursement companies working with you, it doesn't hurt to have another one, because if they don't find if the others might not find the reimbursement for you, a second company or a third company, if they find something, it's still yours. But the beauty is, and I don't know if you know the True Ops at all, but they only charge 10%. And I don't know another company out there that charges 10% of found money. So,
That's one of those important things. Like again, late stage Amazon, like value recovery is one of the
oh,
most important things that you can do within your organization, right? Like finding your own money is just as good as making the sale and generating that, right? But you've already paid for that product, so you might as well try and get whatever kind of money back you can.
especially if one company can't find it, or don't,
Mhm.
just you don't know it, it might be overlooked, and another one just picks it up. So it's so important. It's not just because TrueUps is on here. You could do this with any reimbursement company, but if you're using a single company, you might be missing out. And we're doing a case study right now to prove that point, like just within our own company, that we can find more money for people by using multiple companies. So something to think about. All right, let's get back to this. I don't know if you want to flip back to the presentation, and we
Yep.
can.
Yep. And
And this is fascinating, by the way. I've looked at this product cannibalization using sponsored versus organic, and it'll be interesting to see what the results are, because I've seen it, and it's incredible. Just a few tweaks, with a few tweaks, what you can preserve revenue wise.
absolutely, yeah. It can make a massive difference on the amount of sales that are coming in, and as well as your profitability. And that's something that kind of I take a look at in one of the last slides as well. So before we get started, I just kind of want to talk about what cannibalization is. And so in this slide, I do mention premium above the fold placements, so top of search and inline search. So the way the search results pages on Amazon are structured is at the very top, you always get that one big ginormous ad. It looks just like this. And that's the top of search. And so customers land there. You have a compelling creative. You're pretty much going to get that click. It gets tons of traffic, and it's a sponsored brand ad. And so you're not really giving the opportunity for your organic placements to get seen. And so that's where this conversation actually comes from, is customers are clicking on this ad before they have an opportunity to see your organic placement. And if you are further down in the search results page, then this is a great way to be able to increase your brand awareness by just making sure that customers know that your offer is out there, whereas they might not make it, 3/4 of the way down the page. So you're capturing that attention before, and you're still able to grow your sales. So that's where this kind of comes into play. And so the top of search and inline search is, I think it's like position 8, something like that. There's typically another video, and the video is just as wide as this one, and it takes up 4 spots. And, again, the custom creatives, if you're down on that lower section of the page, you might not be able to show up. And so I just did I put a couple of case studies together. So in case study number 1 here, we have very stable sales. So we can see we're doing around $140,000 a month. And there is a little bit of a downtrend here in September. It's a little bit of a seasonal thing, but we can see our organic sales. And all of a sudden we have stable total sales, but our organic sales drop down pretty significantly compared to June, July. And then we can see here in September and October, we actually sold less, but our organic sales are still right in this threshold of, that $60,000 a month mark. And so what happened? Like, we can look at our ACOS here and, think, oh, maybe it's just efficiencies from the ads. Maybe the ads were performing better and we were able to capture more profitable sales. But when we look at the ACOS, I would say it's also relatively stable. Like, it peaks at 30, we'll say 38, and it goes down to about 32 here in June. So realistically, we're within a 4% range on our ACOS. And so when we're talking about that, I don't really see it making that much of a difference in our organic sales here. It would just improve our profitability overall. But what's interesting is once we start layering in our sponsored product sales and our sponsored brand sales, we can see here May, June, July, August, we were steadily increasing our sponsored brands sales. And as our sponsored brand sales came up, we can see we hit a point where all of a sudden the sponsored brand sales exceeded where we wanted it to go. And as a result, we ended up having lesser organic sales. So in this instance, it does appear like there is a little bit of cannibalization going on there. And it's also like one of the things that we need to consider is relevancy and where we're ranking on the page. So if we're in that top 1 to 5 positions, then we could be cannibalizing some of our organic sales with these top of search ads.
So that goes back to what Neil Twa was saying in that episode.
Absolutely. And so this is one of the things that I wanted to just kind of show out. And then we can see here, when we look at the percentage of ad sales versus our organic sales, we can also see it's relatively stable, right? We're humming around this 50% mark and the 50% mark afterwards. But when our sponsored brands sales spike, we see the organic sales dip and the ad sales percentage increase, right? And so you're kind of starting to see a correlation here. And so that's the first case study on, I called it stable sales. And now we're going to look at one where we're going through a growth phase. So this was an account that we onboarded, and they went through this crazy growth phase where the sales doubled in, we'll say, 6 to 8 months, something like that. And we started out at about 85,000. We can see we're kind of bouncing around all over the place. But when we get to August, we reach a peak. And within that peak, we can see in August, we did 153 and our organic sales were at 45. But in October, we did 147 and our organic sales were more. So we sold less, made more money, or more organic sales. And the ACOS is the exact same across the board. So going through the account, we're seeing maybe a 2% variance month on month. So seeing this discrepancy of this large organic sales dip here, even though we're selling less, or lesser organic sales, even though we're selling more, it's an interesting thing, right? So again, we're going to pull in our sponsored product sales, and we can see that they're the same month on month, 73,000, 74,000. So we're within $1,000, but we start to see the sponsored brands contribution on a decline. And as we see this decline happening, we can see our organic sales start to tick up again. And so this is a point where we may have been down at the bottom of the page and we weren't getting that much traction. But as our sales increased and as we moved up in the organic rankings, all of a sudden, our organic sales started to dip down because we got to a point where we were actually getting consistent organic sales. But now these ads at the top, they could be stealing our sales. And so PPC sales stayed the same, sponsored brand sales decreased, but we are seeing an increase on the organic side, even though we sold less. Right? So another interesting kind of story, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so here we can see it was a heavy PPC percentage contribution the entire time. So 70% of our sales were coming from ads for the most part. And as soon as we started to achieve good organic rankings, started to pull down on our sponsored brands, we can see this start to move towards, the ideal goal is 50-50. So I know back in the day, back at, we'll say in the golden age of Amazon between 2015 and I'd say COVID, right?
Yeah.
The ratio used to be you wanted 30% of your sales coming from ads, 70% coming from organic. And and just building off of what I kind of said earlier, as Amazon continues to increase the number of ads on the search results page, and we see this organic ratio start to become imbalanced. And so I do a lot of auditing at the agency as well. And if you have a 50-50 percentage PPC contribution, I consider that good to excellent. If you have, 50 to 60, I would say that's doing well. 60 to 70, I would say kind of average. And then 70 is heavily PPC dependent. And that's where those are products that are struggling to rank. And so just paying attention to your PPC percentage contribution is also something that is a very, very important KPI. Like, we measure this to make sure that it's coming down. And so we can see our organic sales starting to increase. And so that's just a way of measuring our rankings. And the other thing is, with that tacos calculator I shared with you, being able to manipulate your PPC percentage contribution is also a great way to be able to manipulate your profitability. So if you are struggling with profitability, adjusting your PPC contribution is a great way to be able to balance out your tacos.
Just a quick little story here. So when I got into Amazon back 2013, 14, there was no PPC. It was great. It was beautiful. Now I look back, it was too bad. Too bad I didn't spend more time launching products. But in my agency, I have a clause back in the day where, get this, I think you'll appreciate this. I think the listeners will. That the clause was that if you were going to come on and use my agency, that you had to commit to at least $300 a month in PPC. So $300 a month in PPC. So it changed a little bit now, but
yeah, times have changed. Like even a $3,000 a month budget, like it doesn't go very far anymore. Just with the rising CPCs and everything like that, it's become a competitive marketplace. I love thinking back to the old days of how Amazon used to be. I remember doing rebate key. I remember doing the 999 method. I remember all those kinds of fun little things that was back before, Helium 10 really took over, and we really started to see some of these tech tools come into play.
Yeah. All right, let's see the next case study.
Yeah. And so moving on to the third case study. So this is one where I just wanted to highlight this one. So again, we see a spike in our total sales, and our organic sales stay the same, even though we sold, we'll say 33K more, right? So when we start to look at this one, we can see the ACOS month on month, very, very close. So very little change in terms of the efficiency on our ads. So we didn't really blow up anything there. But in this case, it's actually the exact opposite. So we can see the sponsored product sales increased, the sponsored brand sales increased a little bit, but the cannibalization happened on the opposite side of things. And so, this kind of goes back into what you were saying before about how it doesn't matter where the sales, where we're running ads, the cannibalization can kind of happen on both sides. And even though we did sell more on the PPC side, we can see another spike here on our PPC percentage contribution. And this time it's from sponsored products. So it's really, really tough to kind of nail in where the cannibalization is happening. Now, we did have two examples of it's happening at the once we start ranking. And so, my next slide is, what does that data show? So both sponsored products and sponsored brands can cannibalize our organic sales unintentionally. So if we're showing up top of search and we don't necessarily need to be, or if our sponsored brand ads, if we're in the top 1 to 3 placements and we're still running sponsored and brand ads aggressively, we can be stealing organic sales there. But every ad type has a role and a purpose, and sponsored brands, premium placements need to be utilized. This is a very important one, right? Like, we need to make sure that our organic sales are coming in, but at the same time, we want to be keeping our competition out of those spots as well. Because if the competition comes in, if we back off, the competition can come in, and like we said, if you have a 1.2, 1.3% click-through rate, you're not even going to get an opportunity to be shown. So we want to make sure that we are still looking to make sure that we are occupying the premium spaces on the page, especially with video. What we had talked about earlier in the presentation, just saying, the pictures or the videos worth 1,000 words. And then we just want to regularly review our data to make sure that where we need to pull back does happen to maintain profitability. Because at the end of the day, profitability is our number one goal on Amazon, right? We're not doing this for fun. We're not spending money on ads for fun. We want to make sure that we get into it because we want to see organic sales. We want to solve customers' problems, and we want to make a little bit of money on the side. So making sure that we're regularly reviewing the contribution from each of our ad types and taking the time to drill down is one of the more important things that we can be doing when doing reviews like this. Because when you're in the day-to-day, it's really, really challenging to say, hey, my sponsored brands contribution today was 40%. My sponsored products was 60%. And so looking at it over a longer period of time and making broader adjustments to get the result that we want, but not looking exactly on the day-to-day, because we need to just look at averages, because that's the key to success, is just lasting as long as possible on Amazon and continuing to stay in the fight. And so making sure that we're not cannibalizing our organic sales as much as possible.
Very good. All right.
And so then just a few strategies to control cannibalization, right? So measuring keyword ranks, having some type of keyword rank tracker is really, really important. So keywords where we are seeing strong organic rankings, consider pulling back on sponsored brands, capping your bids, capping your budgets, and letting the organic sales come in. For the keywords where we're at the bottom of the page, we want to be running sponsored brands, because we can see that they will really help us create the flywheel effect on Amazon. They'll help move up our BSR. They'll help move us up in the category. And if we're at the bottom of the page, the organic sales are harder to come by. So we want to do everything that we can to try and move up those organic rankings. And we can review our search term impression share and our SQP purchase share report to make sure that we are not we can review where we're getting all those impressions. And if we're getting really good impressions, we can back off and let those organics come in. And then finally, we want to see, plus 75% of our sales coming from sponsored products.
Okay, very good. Yeah, this has been very informative. Now, do you have more slides, or is that it?
I think that's pretty well it. Yeah, the only other thing would just be the tacos calculator I had. So for those of you that didn't click on the link, this is what it looks like. And if you know your metrics, you can figure out what your tacos is capable of achieving.
Now, I think we had that in the comment section.
Yep.
I think Kelsey did that. Kels, can you put that in there just in case any listeners want to grab that? And it's completely free. So if you're interested in getting this tacos calculator, just click the link and you'll get that right away. Okay, so we are towards the top of the hour. We got a couple of questions and comments. Why don't we get into that right away?
All right. So our first question is from Marina. We have uploaded a couple of videos on Amazon Posts, but I don't know where Amazon displays those videos from posts. I didn't come across my video posts and didn't see them from other brands.
So Posts is an interesting one. So Posts is actually just a sponsored brands ad. Like if we go ahead and promote our Amazon posts, they just show up as sponsored brand ads, and it's the exact same setup. And so they would show up wherever those keywords are that you're putting into the targeting there. So it's an interesting one that Amazon is now allowing you to promote the posts, but it's the exact same result as a sponsored brands ad.
So that's pretty cool. If a lot of people didn't understand that, I preach Amazon post. I loved Amazon post from a couple years ago. I thought it was pretty cool that you could start loading the videos, but now, when you promote it, it becomes that ad. So it's cool. It's just how they're thinking.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Okay, our next question is from Tony. Do you also compare conversion rate? Because I find some of these viral, funny TikTok ads on Amazon don't always convert.
Absolutely. So conversion rate is one of the most important things that we pay attention to. And when we're looking at viral funny TikTok ads, it's a different marketplace, right? Like TikTok is a little more laid back, whereas Amazon has that built-in conversion rate and customers already kind of know what they're looking for. And with TikTok, you can kind of get caught off guard and have, a quick chuckle and you kind of move on. But when you're on Amazon, you don't really see that sense of humor coming through for the most part. I mean, we do see some of those ads where there is a little bit of humor involved. But again, like going back to earlier in that conversation, that, microsecond to get the click, whereas like comedic value takes time to build up. And so it is a harder sell on Amazon.
All right. I think last one or...
We got two more. One's a comment.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. Two more questions. From Rad, is PPC Ninja only for Amazon or do you do other platforms like Walmart?
So we stay in our lane and we like to specialize in Amazon, on the Amazon platform.
All right. And last one from Bartnet4. So what is the sense on pushing for sponsored brand ads?
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, it does drive BSR. Like when we're scaling, it's an incredibly powerful tool to help scale. But once you reach, where you want to be within the category, then it's okay to pull back on sponsored brands. But while we're trying to move up and take market share from our competitors, we need to use every tool in our toolbox. And so there is a significant difference between scaling and achieving maintenance mode, achieving where we want to be in the category, and then just sitting back and managing profitability. So the sense of sponsored brand ads, it helps drive BSR, it helps generate good click-through rates, good conversion rates, sends all the right signals to Amazon. And once we get to where we need to go, then we need to start considering, hey, should we be pulling back here?
Mr. Kels? Okay. Last question here from Alan. For keywords where we are at the top of search, should we avoid having another sponsored ad at top of search?
So if you are organically ranked top of search, then you definitely want to try and avoid that. But if you are showing up in a sponsored section, the answer is it kind of depends, because the CPCs between the two ad types can be significantly different as well. So, top of search on Amazon can be 30-40% more than, we'll say, a sponsored brand ad. So at the end of the day, it comes down to profitability. We do want to try and get as much traffic going through our sponsored products, because at the beginning of the slide deck, I did mention that it's widely accepted that sponsored products drives organic rankings, while sponsored brands is debated. And so just paying attention to that as well. So it's not a one answer fits all kind of thing, but it comes down to how good are your creatives, how good are your conversion rates, and what's going to work best for you.
Okay, I think that's it for the questions. We're going to be going over to the Wheel of Kelsey shortly. If you haven't entered or you don't know what the Wheel of Kelsey is, at the end of every podcast, we give away a prize from the guest. And today it's a consulting call with Neil. As you can see, DripFit had this, he won it the last time. And excuse me, too many cigars with Kevin King in Montreal this weekend. But Drip Fit had the call and he loved it. He couldn't recommend it more. So what did he say here, Kels? If you're going to win the wheel of Kelsey, this is the one to win. Neil knows his, I think I can imagine what that word is, stuff. Let's just say stuff. So hashtag Wheel of Kelsey, tag 2 people, you get a second entry. We'll get to that in a second. Neil, how do we get a hold of you or PPC Ninja?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can go to ppcninja.com. We do have, thank you very much. We have our website there. And so for those of you that don't know, we are software as a service, and we are also fully managed services. So that means I could be potentially managing your advertising account. And if you want to get a hold of me, reach out through the platform, or you can find me on LinkedIn as well.
All right. Okay, Kels, let's go over to a sponsor. We'll come back with the wheel and we'll see who won.
Start, scale, exit, repeat. I'm Colin C. Campbell, and I've started over a dozen multi-million-dollar companies in the last 30 years. I spent the last 10 years writing the book, Start, Scale, Exit, Repeat, to figure out what it is that these serial entrepreneurs do over and over again. We interviewed over 200 people. We created 58 chapters, over 30 illustrations, 180 callouts, and we quite frankly made this book for the ADHD entrepreneur. It's been #1 on Amazon in 15 categories and has won 12 awards globally. Get your book today, either on ebook, paperback, hardcover, or Audible on Amazon or your favorite bookstore.
You know, it's great. So Colin Campbell, he's a very good friend of mine. I've known him for years. But I was talking to him the other day, and we were talking about his wife, and she just never got what he was doing. Like he was involved with the internet business. He was involved way back in the day with bulletin boards, BBS, and he ended up selling one of his companies. This is the first time he sold for a bigger dollar amount. He had a company he sold before, but he came home to his wife. Wife was in bed, and he dropped this check in front of her. She wakes up. He says, and this is what this is what I've been working for. And it was a $20 million check, a life-changing check. And he just went on from there to start another 8-figure company, another 8-figure company, another 8-figure company. He's had some fails along the way, but that's why we do what we do. We work hard, we get kicked between the legs a few times, we get back up, and we do it until we can have something like that. So I just wanted to mention that because we just talked about that really incredible life-changing moment. But Kels, let's get over to the wheel.
It's time for the Wheel of Kelsey.
All right, here we go.
Okay, so hopefully I got everyone. I'm going to shuffle these up, give this a spin. If you are the winner, please email me, kate@lunchwithnorm.com, and let's see who the winner is.
Oh, Jessica.
Jessica.
Very good. Congrats.
All right, so if you could please email me, kate@lunchwithnorm.com. Jessica, you are the winner. Congratulations.
All right, Neil, we're going to put you in the waiting room, and then we'll come right back and talk to you once the podcast is over. Here I go again. I got a cough. Man, I'm not kidding. Too many cigars. All right. And I know Tony Cigar's on here. And Tony, I know what you feel about cigars. I just find it really wild that your last name's Cigar and you hate them so much. But anyways, thank you so much, Anil, for being on. And look, reach out. If you haven't used PPC Ninja, it is a really great platform. You've probably seen Ritu on the show a few times. She's awesome. I don't know when her next masterclass is going to be, but always look out for that. All right. Kels, where are you, sir?
Alrighty. Well, thanks everyone for watching. I can see Jessica is here. So yeah, just email me, kate@lunchwithnorm.com. Bartnett says great episode. Thanks. And hope you enjoyed. We are going to be making some changes to the podcast. We've tested this out before when we were doing 3 times a week, but we're going to try it again now once a week. But we're going to have the live episode up at 12 o'clock. And then after the episode, we're going to unlist it and then publish a fully edited version on YouTube. So it's going to be a little bit cleaner, right to the good stuff.
Cut out my coughing.
Cut out the cough and cut out the cigars. But if you want to check it out live, you can always come here Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern time. So we got some updates. We'll let you guys know more in the WhatsApp group, and I think that's it.
Yeah, and feel free to put a comment in there if you liked what you heard today. If you learned something, give us a thumbs up or a heart or whatever you want, and just let us know how we're doing. Okay, so I think that's it. We got Marketing Misfits is going to be coming out next Tuesday with another great episode. We've got our newsletter. So this newsletter, if you check it out at LWN, that's lunchwithnorm.news, we had a great story, and we're getting some really good feedback on it. So check it out. If you want some more of our community, check out our WhatsApp group. It's very active. I woke up yesterday and I went, what the heck's going on? There were so many comments in there. And then we also have our Facebook group. So we got it all covered for you. So if you're interested, you can have one or all. And we will see you next Wednesday live at noon Eastern Standard Time. We will see you later.
Lunch with the